very active in the Dallas Peace Center. In fact, he will be speaking on behalf of the Dallas Peace Center. That's Hadi Jawad, and he was one of the leaders of the movement, the anti-war movement in Iraq, and addressing the still pressing issues that still linger after the war. Hadi.
Thank you, Gary. The Iraq War was a war for oil in which big oil was the winner. 11 years after the first bombs fell on Baghdad, most U.S.-led coalition forces have left, but Western oil companies have set up shop. Before the 2003 invasion, Iraq's domestic oil industry was nationalized and closed to Western companies. But today, it is largely privatized and dominated by foreign firms. From ExxonMobil and Chevron to BP and Shell, the West's largest firms are firmly established. So are a slew of American oil services companies such as Halliburton, the Texas-based firm Dick Cheney ran before becoming George W. Bush's running mate in the 2000 election. The war is the one and only reason for this long-sought and newly acquired access. Oil was not the only goal of the Iraq War, but it was certainly the central one. Of course, it's about oil, and we can't deny that, said General John Abizaid, former head of the U.S. command in Iraq. In 2007, former Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan agreed, writing in his memoir, "I am saddened that it is politically inconvenient to acknowledge what everyone knows. The Iraq War is largely about oil." The Senator and now Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel said, "People say we are not fighting for oil. Of course we are." Times are good for oil giants in Iraq right now. Production is up, profits are soaring. The Wall Street Journal recently wrote, Iraq's oil production surged to the highest level in 30 years last month. Royal Dutch Shell last November signed a $17 billion contract. ExxonMobil, BP, Shell all have multi-billion-dollar contracts, all thanks to the 4,400 American servicemen and women who lost their lives in Iraq, and the largest of the American taxpayers. One of our colleagues standing right here at this very press conference in 2008 said, when the Iraq War was being cooked up, ExxonMobil was in the kitchen. The plunder of Iraq continues, just as Iraq continues to boil in ethnic and sectarian strife. Big oil runs everything in America. There is talk about the power of the bankers on Wall Street and the power of the Israeli lobby, but oil is still king. All giants own it all and run it all. ExxonMobil, BP, Shell played the most aggressive role in lobbying their governments to ensure that the invasion of Iraq would result in an Iraq open to foreign oil companies. They succeeded. They're all back in. They're all back in. Heeding the words of Martin Luther King when he said, the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice. It is our hope and our prayer, and indeed our dream, that those who caused the pillage, plunder, and rape of Iraq will someday be marched before a judge at The Hague, marched before a judge at The Hague, indicted and convicted, and sent to prison for the rest of their lives. I'd like to end in the words of an Iraqi poet who saw the irony that the oil that was underneath their soil was being pumped out, while the greatest treasure of that nation, its children, were being buried. He says, come and see our overflowing morgues and find our little ones for us. Come search for them in the rubble of your surgical airstrikes. Come see them gathered in garbage dumps looking for food. Come and see. Come.
Thank you.